So in our previous videos, we learned that the basic economic problem is all about matching scarce resources to our unlimited needs and wants. In this video, we're going to look at how countries and governments try to solve this problem. And we're looking in particular at who is it that makes those decisions about what to produce and for whom to produce. So we're going to start by looking at a video that shows us two different economic systems and how each of them work. So in that video, we introduced two different kinds of economic systems. The first one is the command economy. And in a command economy, all the decisions are made by just one of the economic agents, and that is government. Before I talk about in any detail, the first thing I need to really say is that actually a command economy, just like the other system we saw, a free market economy, both of these are extremes. They are theoretical extremes. And in fact, all countries and all governments operate somewhere in the middle. However, it's useful to think about them separately. So, in a command economy, we assume that all decisions are made by the government. And this has some advantages. The government can choose to invest a lot in the economy, producing high levels of economic growth that's stable. And the government can pursue social goals. In other words, the government can spend money on things that are good for everyone, providing health services for everyone, for example, or education. But there are problems too. So can we be certain that our government will serve our interests as we would want them to be served? In some countries, the governments do serve the people's interests. In other countries, they really don't. The other thing about a command economy is that it can be expensive to administer. And here's the reason why. Imagine that you were in the government of a command economy. And imagine that it was your job to decide how many shoes should be produced in that economy. You're going to need to think about what colour shoes do people want? What kind of style of shoe do people want? What are people going to use those shoes for? How many different shoes should you produce in all of the different sizes? What shoes do women want? What shoes do men want? What about children? The questions are endless, aren't they? And it would be very difficult to get that right. And so it becomes very expensive to run an economy in this way. And because it's difficult to get right, you end up with shortages of some goods and surpluses of other goods. You're producing things that people just don't want. So that's a command economy. The other extreme that we saw was the free market economy. And again, this is a theoretical extreme. No countries do run their economy just in this way. So in a free market economy, all the decisions in the economy are made by individuals when they demand goods and by businesses who choose what to supply. So again, some advantages. This is a really good information of transmitting information about what we all want. Every time you go into a shop and demand a pair of brown shoes in size 40, the producer understands that that kind of product is in demand and they will make more. If we stop buying a particular product, businesses will stop supplying it because they can't make a profit. So there's no need for all that bureaucracy. You don't need to give people incentives to be efficient. They will try to be efficient. Businesses will try to be efficient because that's the best way for them to make a profit. And in the same way, they will respond to our needs. Whatever we demand, a business will try and supply because there's a profit in it for them. However, again, there are problems with this system. Sometimes there just isn't much competition, and in that situation, the business has a lot of market power, and it still wants to make a profit. What will happen? It will just put its prices up and charge us more than is really necessary. Also, in a free market economy, because as individuals, we are all making choices about what's best for us, we tend to get a lot of inequality. Everything is based on pricing. If I've got lots of money, I can have the fast car, I can have the big house. If I've got no money, I can't have any of that. There's no government to provide it for me. It's just about the money I have. So inequality tends to be a feature of a free market economy. And the other problem of a free market economy is the environment and other social goals may be ignored, because it's all about individuals' choices. Am I really going to decide to spend all my money on saving the planet? I'd rather spend it on a new car, wouldn't I? So those kind of environmental and social goals tend to be ignored if we have a completely free market economy. And so, for all of those reasons, most countries, in fact all countries, have a mixed economy. They have some elements of a command economy and some elements of a free market economy. But of course every country is somewhere slightly different on that spectrum. So in this picture here, we can see the situation as it was in 1980, about 40 years ago. And it's no surprise to us to see that North Korea has more of a totally planned economy, more of a command economy than any other country. But even North Korea is not right at the end. It does have some elements of a free market, not many, but a few. We can see here as well that China 40 years ago was very much a command economy, still mixed, still some elements of a free market, but most decisions in the Chinese economy 40 years ago were made by the government. And we can see, as we would expect, at the free market end, countries like the UK, the US and Hong Kong. But again, those countries are not right at the extreme. Let's take the UK, for example. We think of the UK as being a free market economy, but it's the government who provides healthcare, it's the government who builds roads, it's the government who provides education for most of the citizens in the UK. So this was 1980. Let's fast forward by 20 years to the year 2000. And what we see here along the bottom is that most countries have shifted a little bit towards becoming more of a free market economy. That shift is probably, the biggest of those shifts is probably China, who has made a big shift towards free market, but they're bang in the middle now. In China, lots of decisions are still made by government, but more and more are made by the free market. We can see that even countries who were free market economies, like the UK and the US, have also shifted to becoming more of a free market. Now, we can argue about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. We're not really here to do this. I'm just showing you what the situation is. The thing I want you to take away from this really is that in reality, every country has a mix. It's a mixture of economic agents who make the decision. At this end, the planned or command economy end, the government is the economic agent making most of the decisions. And at this end, the free market end, it's businesses and individuals who are making most of the decisions in the economy about what to produce and who gets what's produced. So, what have we learnt in this video? We've learnt that different countries and governments solve the economic problem in different ways. We've learnt that you have these two theoretical extremes, the command economy and the free market economy, but actually in practice, all countries are somewhere in the middle. They have what we call a mixed economy. We've learned that in a command economy, the government is the economic agent that makes all the decisions about what's going to be produced and who gets those goods and services. On the other hand, in a free market economy, it's individuals through their demand and businesses in choosing what to supply. It's those economic agents who make all the decisions about what to produce and who gets what's produced. Both of those systems have advantages and disadvantages, and for that reason, all countries tend to have a bit of both. And that's where we're going to end. Okay, there are a few questions for you to answer, and once you've done that, you can move on to the next video.